Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today it's new bike day, and when I say new, I mean a 2016 Yamaha Mt09. So it's new for me, but it's an 8-year-old bike, but I still think it stands a test of time. Look at this thing, it looks the business. And one of the good things about buying second-hand bikes is a lot of the times the first owners yeeted off the stock exhaust, which always suck on these bikes, and it's put on an aftermarket. This one's the Akropovich, and it sounds mighty. And I reckon the main reason people buy this bike is for the power plant right here. This is an 847cc inline cross-plane 3-cylinder engine, making a claimed like 110, 115 horsepower, 10,000 RPM, and it is a handful. So let's start her up. Oh yeah. So let's say goodbye to the horses of Terry Hills and go for a little ride. So this bike is known as a hyper naked, and it's naked because it's got no plastics, like no fairings, which are making you more aerodynamic and buffering wind away from you. And hyper because check this out. This is a fire-breathing dragon. I'm telling you, if you twist this throttle a little bit too much for a little bit too long, and I'm talking a few seconds too long, you open up the gates of hell really quickly. So why did I buy the bike? Well, like going back to the start, I've been riding for about 5 years now. I started on a Honda CB125, which probably had, I don't know, 10, 12 horsepower, something like that. I owned that for about 6 months and got rid of it pretty quickly. Moved on to my dual sport, the Honda CRF 250L. And loved that bike, loved it so much. I thought I'd ride into the ground and never sell it. But it's become really challenging to actually get that bike into the dirt. Like living in Sydney, it's, I don't know, it's probably like an hour and a half to the closest dirt, maybe 2 hours to some really good stuff. Which just means it's 3 to 4 hours before you've even done any good riding, and it's too much of a commitment right now. So I was pretty much using it exclusively to go to work, and it's just not great for that. It's the handlebars are really wide, so trying to get through traffic was tricky. It's too slow. It wasn't the right tool for the job. So it didn't feel right to keep that bike. It deserves to be in the dirt, so I figured I'd get rid of it and buy a road bike. So this wasn't actually my first choice. I can't wait till there's housing all through here. It's going to be sick. I hated riding my bike around here. Yeah, this wasn't my first choice. I was looking at the Yamaha Mt07, which is the baby brother of this bike. It's 2 cylinders. I think it's around about the 60 to 70. There's 2 different versions you can get in Australia. There's the L-plate version, which is like the dominant one, and then there's like a high-performance one, which is unrestricted. But for whatever reason, well, I know why, they really hold their value well, like too well. I was looking at the second-hand market, and the Mt07s, which cost a few $1,000s less than this bike new, are more expensive. And that's because all the L-platers want it, because it's basically the most powerful L-plate bike you can buy, like one of the most. So it's super popular. And I was looking at a bunch of reviews on this bike, and like they just say what a fun bike it is, but most people try and steer you away from the bike, particularly if you're a newer rider. And it's just because it's just so damn powerful. It's almost crazy that a bike this powerful is legal in Australia. And just to go off on a side tangent a little bit, my e-bike, locked at 25 k's an hour, legally can't do more than that. This thing, I think, has a speed limiter at around 230, 240, and that's just because it's got no fairings and nothing to buffer the wind. It's not aero. Like this thing can get real twitchy at high speeds, so I think Yamaha just put a speed limiter on there, but it could technically do more than that. So there is just a massive asymmetry there. Can I just have a little bit more on the e-bike? And can we take a little bit off this? I'd be happy with that. I'm wondering how deep this is. It's been pissing rain for a while. Didn't used to care on the dirt bike. That's fine. That's gonna be fine. Ooh, feet up. Oh, it's a bit deeper than I thought. things just get out of hand so fast. So yeah, most people try and talk you out of this bike. They say if you're a newer rider, get the Mt07, you'll have more fun. It's just a better all-around bike. But I could not understand the pricing. There was a guy who was selling this, he lived maybe 10-minute walk away from me. And kind of just curiosities just kind of got the better of me. I was just thinking, what does a bike that everyone says is too much and is too powerful, like what does that feel like? What does unlimited power, seemingly unlimited power, feel like? And so I pulled the trigger. Not disappointed, but it has taken a while to get used to. Like, it's kind of funny to say, when I jumped on my Honda, the CRF 250L, the dual sport, I think it has about 20 to 25 horsepower. And when I jumped on that for the first time, that was the fastest bike I'd ever been on. I was like, oh, this thing's got some curry. Going from a bike with 20 to 25 horsepower to over 100 horsepower, and all of those horsies are working at usable speeds. So, so it's not like a Super Sport or an R1. I'm not going to be pushing 300 k's an hour. It is all jammed into that usable range. And so if I'd done this review as soon as I got the bike, I would have just said, this thing is absolutely scary as hell, terrifies me, the end. So after putting a few hundred k's on the bike now, I'm a lot more comfortable, and it can be a handful. It can be a handful. It's very powerful. The power delivery, everyone says it's twitchy. Yeah, I'd agree. It's sort of like, it just kind of comes on all of a sudden there. So throttle control is important. I've been riding for longer than 5 years. I got my license 5 years ago. I rode like crappy little 80cc mini bikes as a kid, but that was about it. And I stopped for about 20 odd years and never rode a bike again. So in terms of comfort, one of the things I was worried about going from like a dual sport dirt bike to a road bike was that it would be uncomfortable. And it is shockingly similar to the dirt bike. Everyone calls this kind of like a motard. You're very much upright on this bike, so it is super comfortable. You can ride all day like this. It almost feels very similar to riding the dirt bike. It's got quite wide handlebars as well, which is one of the things I was looking to get, some shorter handlebars to just zip through the traffic. And these things kind of wide, so it doesn't totally solve that. It's a lot better than what it was, particularly when the dirt bike had the bark buses on the side. It's much easier, but they're still quite wide, so it makes it very comfortable, but it's not like super racy. I might just turn around and go back whence I came. So it's kind of the confusing things about the bike. It's a confused little bike at times, right? Because you are upright, perched up, just super comfortable, but the motor is just screaming at you all the time, just go, go, go. And so when you do that, you find out that when you're sitting upright, your torso and head are not the most aero things in the world. And if you're like second or third, you're going to know real quick that that's not where you want to be. So you really have to like tuck down, really tuck down. This thing, I actually think this plastic is aftermarket. I don't think it comes with the bike. I guess it would do a little bit when you're super tucked down, but it's practically doing nothing for me. I should say I'm cruising along in standard mode. I pretty much exclusively use standard mode. So it's got 3 modes, A, standard, and B. So standard is just the Goldilocks in the middle. B is for, I don't know, when it's raining, so baby mode. And then A is for, I have no idea why you'd ever want to use it. Maybe if you go into a track, it's too powerful. So just talking about the suspension, a lot of people poo-poo this bike. This is the Gen 1. And so Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. Everyone poo-poos the Gen 1 for having soft, mushy suspension. So, like, for the type of riding I do, I think it's totally fine. I actually, if you're only really using it to get around the streets and you're not really pushing this bike, then, like, it's fine. It's probably better that I have a bit of softer suspension, because the roads I ride on, some of them are just absolute crap. But like, if you're taking this thing through twisties, like, what are you doing? It's too dangerous. Just go get a mountain bike. So that's most of the things I wanted to talk about. So just going through, right, if we're talking about pros and cons, like, pro, the price. It's really hard to compete with this bike in terms of what you get for the money. Pro, the looks amazing. I still think Like, I think the Gen 1 looks better than the Gen 2 and Gen 3. Those two bikes, they're pretty polarizing. They kind of look, I don't know, people say cyborg. It's the front LED headlight. It looks a little bit goofy to me. So I think the styling of this bike looks amazing. Yeah, like I said, comfort, tick. It's just a really, really comfortable bike to ride. Another pro, like, in general, this bike is too quick, right? But what that means is you can really, like, when you see a gap that you want to take, sometimes you're trying to get around, like trying to get around a bus or someone slow, you can just go zip zap and done. Yeah, who's done something wrong? Not me, not me. Talking about acceleration. So yeah, that's one of the things I've appreciated most about the bike. It's just the ability to hammer on the gas and get around things. So it can get you out of trouble, it can save you time, but it can also get you into trouble as well, pretty quickly. And just another pro, I tend to get like nods, like affirmative nods from motorbike riders a bit more now, like just, yeah, the two finger, like, hey, how you going? I didn't used to get that on the dual spot. I'm just noticing it more now, and now I probably look like a snob because I'm just not used to doing any like waves and acknowledgement. All right, the cons. There aren't many. One of the biggest cons about this bike that I found is the turning circle. It is damn atrocious. So people mentioned that in the reviews of this bike, and I didn't think it would be as big of a problem as it is. So I have a really tight space at work where I need to like maneuver around the back of a car, and that took a lot of getting used to. It is a bit of a pain in the ass. Not a deal breaker, but it ticks me off. So maybe like the next con, and this is my fault, and it's a bit of a weird thing to say. Like, so the MT in Mt09 stands for Master of Torque. This bike is all about pushing all of the power down low. And so when I say the gearing's not tall enough, like, that's just me, that's just like my opinion and my preference. I kind of wish the gearing was a little bit taller on 5 and 6, so that you could just really, really cruise around in low revs and sip fuel. Whereas now, it just feels like in every single gear, what are you doing? Yeah, like in every single gear, this bike just seems to want to go and just is like, come on, go, twist the throttle, go, 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 go. And so yeah, I kind of wish the gearing was taller, but that sort of goes against the whole ethos of the bike. So another con would be the fuel tank. It's a 14-litre fuel tank, I think, but the light seems to come on at about 200 Ks. Now it's telling me right now I'm getting 4.8, which is a little bit lower than I normally would get. It's normally up around like the 5.1 sort of a thing. So I guess technically you could get, is that right? You could get close to 300. You might be able to get 250 out of it, doing the sort of riding I'm doing. If you're taking this thing to the twisties and really hammering, like it'd probably get close to 10, I suppose. So 5 litres per 100 Ks, I mean, that's still pretty good. My dirt bike, the dual sport, got, I think, about 3.5. So yeah, I wish the fuel tank was just a bit bigger so I could comfortably get 300 Ks. I guess now I can comfortably get 200, but you see, the lights come on really early. And yeah, like the twitchiness of the bike, like everyone talks about that. Oh, that is not as big a con. Like the turning circle bugs me way more than the whole twitchiness of the bike. You can get used to the twitchiness. Just gotta baby it. Just gotta baby it a little bit. I actually found it quite hard getting on the bike for the first time, going around things like roundabouts where you're just going slow, going through a turn. That twitchiness when it just like comes all the way on all at once. I'm pretty well used to it now. So who's this bike for? So again, everyone tells you if you're a new rider, don't get the bike. In Australia, you can't get this bike, not on your L, so you can't get it for a year. Like I think it's good for someone like me, like an older rider who's just kind of curious about like what the hell does a really quick bike feel like. If you're someone who's newer and you're genuinely interested in learning how to ride, I have no real interest in learning how to ride a bike quick. I don't really want to get the bike over and drag knees and do all that sort of stuff. I got no real interest in taking this thing out on track. For me, it's just a bit of a laugh, getting my rocks off going to and from work. So if you're kind of someone like that who can like the power's all there, but you're responsible enough not to use it all. But if you're like me and curiosity gets the better of you and you just want to know what the hell this feels like, then yeah, give it a shot. It'll put a smile on your face every time you ride the bike. Oh damn, one of the things I didn't mention, so this bike, this is a 2016 model, and after 2016, like ABS and traction control became standard. But for the 2016 model, it was an optional add-on, which the guy went for. So, I don't know, what am I in now? Traction control 1? I haven't really played around with that too much. It's nice to know the ABS is there. It's also got a quick shifter, which I didn't speak about either. And this thing is a blast. It's almost, like, I almost think it's essential for this bike, which just means I don't need to pull the clutch in when I'm going up gears. And so when you're going up gears fast on this bike, it's nice to just hold on tight with your left hand and not have to worry about pulling in the clutch. I tend not to use it all that much. Was that a cop on a horse? What? You're gonna struggle to keep up with me. Yeah, I wish I'd mentioned that sooner in the video because you're probably not watching by now. But that is one of the main advantages I'd say this bike has over the MT07, that quick shifter. It's pretty sick. I don't use it all that much because the type of riding I do, it's really hard to get a wide open space to actually give it the beans. But yeah, when I'm pulling away from the lights, I use it. It's good fun. Nice soggy suspension. Yeah. You just giggle every time. Alright, so that's it. That might be the last first impressions of a 2016 bike, but I thought it just might be handy for, I don't know, someone buying this bike in 2024. Maybe deciding, do I want to go Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3? Can I save a bit of cash? Depending on what you're using the bike for. I mean, like I said, I got no real complaints, so if you're thinking about it, pull the trigger. You'll have a great time. So I hope you found this enjoyable or informative. If you have any questions, put it down in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you. So thanks everybody. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. It really helps out the channel. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one.